Welcome to Memphis. As one of the most celebrated cities in the U.S., Memphis is the official home to blues music, world-famous Beale Street, Elvis's beloved Graceland, and the largest three-service utility provider in the nation, Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, the heartbeat of it all. 2011 marks a very crucial year in Memphis's history as it marks the 200th anniversary of the city's seismic earthquake. Today, the U.S. Geological Survey and the Center for Earthquake Research and Information of the University of Memphis estimate that similar new matrix seismic zone earthquakes have a 7 to 10% chance of reoccurring within the next 50 years. As the city's lifeline, MLGW began its earthquake preparedness measures long before the anniversary of the seismic quakes of 1811 and 1812 by implementing crucial seismic retrofitting measures in 4 key areas: electric, gas, water, and facilities. These crucial measures will ensure that the most vital resources are available to the residents of Memphis and Shelby County following a major seismic event. An earthquake on the new matrix seismic zone has the potential to cause widespread and prolonged electrical power outages to more than 900,000 residents of Shelby County, resulting in large economic and potentially life-threatening impacts. Memphis Light, Gas, and Water is aiming to drastically reduce the potential for significant loss of critical electric power in the event of an earthquake through a program of both targeted retrofits of existing equipment and robustly designed new installations.
Hurricane Elvis taught Memphis that. We saw the Basir building downtown, the number 1 Beale building downtown. They were damaged. Number 1 Beale was completely demolished after that. Those buildings were not designed for horizontal force, and they're the first ones that received damage from an earthquake. So it's important. We have 6,000 buildings like that. It's no one's fault that they're there. They predate any code. We can't snap our fingers and say they should also be retrofitted. That's not cost effective.
Memphis Light, Gas, and Water is aiming to drastically reduce the potential for significant loss of critical electric power in the event of an earthquake through a program of both targeted retrofits of existing equipment and robustly designed new installation.
Memphis Light, Gas, and Water has done a great job in acquiring federal funds outside of our city budget to support retrofitting facilities that will make us more resilient to all disasters. Public utilities are going to be in the limelight. They're going to be the people, the boots on the ground immediately following a disaster that are helping people with very special needs that need power following a disaster. So prioritizing what gets turned back on first, strengthening the connections around those places like hospitals, what serves our hospitals, the substations. And these are part of the comprehensive plan that I've seen in general for Memphis Light, Gas, and Water.
One of the seismic retrofit projects MLGW has undertaken is to seismically anchor all of its existing unanchored substation power transformers. Substation transformers are critical pieces of equipment as they provide power to all of the circuits from an electric substation. Substations built in the last 30 years have seismically designed foundations and anchorages for these transformers. For older stations, many of these transformers are unanchored and sit on rails as they were delivered to the substation by rail car. MLGW is currently anchoring all of its older substation transformers to the foundation to prevent the transformers from sliding off its foundation in an earthquake.
It's cost effective to retrofit older facilities for the design forces that you know that may come into play.
Another seismic retrofit project MLGW is currently making preparations for is a retrofit of its unanchored network systems transformers. These transformers feed the majority of downtown Memphis, the Central Business District, and the Medical Center.
Power means life to some people who are on dialysis. Those people have been identified, and Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, Shelby County Office of Preparedness, and Memphis Fire Department are ready to go to those places following a disaster to make sure we address that. Addressing special needs following a disaster is largely based on the ability of the public utility in question to respond effectively and to plan ahead of time.
Memphis Light Gas and Water is also making preparations for other prioritized seismic retrofit projects in accordance with its comprehensive seismic risk assessment. These retrofit projects include anchoring other older components in its substations and electrical distribution system to try and prevent damage and widespread prolonged power outages to the Memphis and Shelby County community. As the largest three-service public power utility in the nation, Memphis Light Gas and Water services more than 300,000 customers in Memphis and Shelby County and is dedicated to the safe and reliable delivery of natural gas to all its customers.
We actually had a hazard mitigation study done on our system, and that study was to identify whatever risk that may be posed to our system. The main risk that came up, obviously, in Shelby County was the risk to a seismic movement or an earthquake.
At MLGW, we utilize a major part of our resources in maintaining the integrity of the gas transmission and distribution systems.
Another really important aspect of MLGW's retrofitting strategy is to, over time, replace the large amount of brittle cast iron gas piping that underlie the city of Memphis.
MLGW has continued to analyze its gas systems to mitigate any new or unforeseen hazards.
That study identified our Arlington LNG plant as an area that needed some pretty extensive seismic mitigation efforts out there. We went back, studied the plant, studied what could be done, and ultimately the decision was made to, instead of seismically mitigating that plant, to actually shut the plant down and make it safe.
Another of our more recent efforts is the installation of excess flow valves.
What the excess flow valves do, it actually protects the buildings and structures around in time there's a seismic event. If any of the lines break within the house on the customer side, the excess flow valves actually act as a circuit breaker and cut off the flow of gas to the building.
The EFV permits a small amount of gas to pass through after it is tripped, allowing the valve to be automatically reset once the flow has been reduced below the threshold level. Finally, MLGW has continued to reinforce the reliability of its natural gas system.
In 2010, we actually completed the design and construction of the Gill Road Regulator Station that's located near the South Service Center here at Memphis Light Gas and Water. So that station actually provides backup to the oldest lines that we have in our system. We've got two 18-inch transmission lines that are actually our oldest two lines in the system and pose the greatest threat in the system as far as a hazard from an earthquake or a seismic event.
These steps have positioned MLGW to continue the safe and reliable delivery of natural gas to the customers in Memphis and Shelby County, and we look forward to continued improvements in the future.
Memphis Light Gas and Water has had a mitigation plan, I think, since I've been in academics since 1997. And they've used that mitigation plans. They identify pinch points in our ability to respond to a disaster, and they address those pinch points structurally. We want this to be operable, and we want to be able to judge the level of operability. Is it immediate? Is it within 2 or 3 days? Is it within a week? And these are critical planning elements.
We're in a very good position right now. And again, the cast iron program was what was identified, and again, as the major risk to the system. But with our accelerated efforts, we only have 10 years left in the program, so every day we get a little closer to having probably one of the best systems, if not the best system in the nation. Our mindset in being prepared and being able to respond is going to assist the community in any type of event that may happen, and we've shown that in the past, and I don't see any difference in showing that in the future.
MLGW has been aggressively reinforcing and upgrading various facilities in preparation for a potential earthquake event.
The state of Tennessee and the Federal Emergency Management have provided grants to Memphis Light Gas and Water to retrofit water pumping stations, substations. This was really important in the fallout of Hurricane Elvis that hit Memphis. We lost a lot of things, power and things of that nature, but we didn't lose water.
MLGW is currently working on seismic retrofits for the Morton water pumping station, both structural and non-structural enhancements to prepare the facilities for any earthquake.
The potable water system for the greater city of Memphis metropolitan area involves 4 primary functions: supply, treatment, transmission, and distribution. In regards to treatment, MLGW has 8 major capacity and 3 minor capacity water treatment plants in its system. From 1996 to 2004, 4 major treatment plants have received seismic strengthening retrofits.
As we approach the bicentennial of the great earthquakes that happened in this region 200 years ago, it provides us a unique opportunity to prepare the community without the event of a disastrous earthquake.
In addition to the structural mitigation at 5 pumping stations, we have installed outdoor reservoir-mounted high service pumps at 4 locations in order to negate the effect of building collapse hazards on transmission or pumping equipment.
Without the mitigation efforts that we've incurred, we would be less likely to provide water to our customers in a time that they would most need the services of the Water Division.
Header valves have been installed on transmission mains, leaving major water pumping stations to facilitate closing off part of the header coming out of the pumping station without forcing a major shutdown. These may be remotely operated from SCADA.
SCADA stands for Systems Control and Data Acquisition. It's basically the brain, if you will, of our various utilities, electric, gas, and water division. People employed at that location turn valves and pumps and operate equipment from that centralized location.
Without these projects, critical water supply and well pumping capacity could be greatly impaired in the event of a seismic event.
I think recent disasters like Hurricane Katrina show us that these high consequence, low probability disasters have to be accounted for, or you could have very, very long-term losses and the population can suffer for a very long time.
Hopefully our efforts will help to sustain and maintain a viable source of water supply for our various residential, commercial, industrial customers throughout the greater Memphis area. Hopefully that water will be available to them in the event of the dire circumstances surrounding a seismic event.
As the largest 3-service public power utility in the nation, MLGW has taken a lead role in enhancing the reliable delivery of safe, potable water to its residential, commercial, and industrial customers throughout the service area. When people think of utility companies, they think primarily of electric, gas, and water systems. There are many support facilities that assure those critical work groups have the resources needed to do their work efficiently and safely.
You know, you have places where we house stored materials, places where we repair pipes, pump systems, that kind of thing, transformers. So all these support functions are very important for the personnel out in the field doing the work.
95% of MLGW buildings were constructed before any earthquake design guidelines were required by code.
As we learn about our earthquake hazard, MLGW has been a leader in Western Tennessee to rebuild and retrofit facilities. This is really important because it gives us resistance to all disasters.
This building here, the Netters facility, we purchased it in 2002. It was originally constructed by a Texas firm in 2000. We bought it with only about 7,000 square feet occupied at the time, so it was a perfect opportunity for us to come in and retrofit it for a higher seismic performance level. You know, code normally allows for life safety. We went to a seismic performance level with a higher earthquake for immediate occupancy and operability after an earthquake, specifically to house certain groups in our organization that were considered important for business continuity. And so we went into all the retrofitting, for, new frames, a new diaphragm for the roof, some larger foundations, and we also made sure we anchored all the mechanical systems, plumbing, electrical, for the non-structural components to be safe during an earthquake.
The first step in this process was to identify the most critical structures, then look for ways to limit losses. This was achieved by mitigating existing facilities with buildings designed to updated codes.
Looking forward, obviously, MLGW is an older firm. We have a lot of facilities that weren't constructed for seismic, so we're looking at the future to try to do as much as we can with what we have.
It's only common sense that if you're in a seismically active area, that your critical facilities, including all the things that Memphis Light, Gas, and Water deals with, need to be there in some form or fashion following a large earthquake.
At MLGW, seismic retrofitting of existing buildings is a #1 priority.
For light, gas, and water, we always look to go above and beyond the code, because code normally, or does, only cover life safety issues. Typically, if you have an earthquake that will disable your building to the point where you can't occupy it, that's what you're looking for in seismic code level design. I know the other divisions for the production side, electric, gas, and water, they have probably been even more active at an earlier time, especially the water department, in safeguarding all the water facilities, because that's such an important part of this community during a disaster is water. I've got plans forward to what I plan to do with our support facilities as well as the production side. We're looking at, of course, we identify all those buildings that are risky. We look at what non-structural anchorages we can do as we go forward, and we've prioritized each one of those. For instance, transformers would be the #1 thing we'd like to anchor. We want to make sure our air conditioning systems are running perfectly, for our computer systems that they need to be running too. And so we try to hit all those first. It's an expensive thing to do, and you can't do it all at once. So I think that we've done a great job starting years ago in trying to get this accomplished.
As we learn more about earthquake hazards, MLGW has been a leader in retrofitting its facilities in preparation for a major natural disaster. At MLGW, our commitment is to provide our customers with the efficient and safe delivery of electricity, natural gas, and water services. These proactive measures in planning for future possible natural disasters has positioned MLGW to remain the heartbeat of our community and a leader in the utility services.